In many ways, I think you have to start off with being a true believer and really solve for the problem and really believe in what you're bringing to the table and you really believe in what the community stands for. And you must really want this community to exist and transform lives and add value to people's lives. I think that's always going to be goal number one.
Contrary to the models that a lot of startups follow, it was actually community was the bigger bracketed fan pay, which had marketing and growth into it, right? Growth comprised of brands.
Shifting gears again a little bit, what are the key metrics, Rohit, that you guys look at, as justifying the cost for community, whatever resources go in your communities? What are some of the metrics that you guys track, and how is the overall return calculated in Mosaic?
So I think especially because we still define our community still in 0 to 1 stage, right? Of really getting a lot of growth traction, that product market fit. We kind of focus almost very heavily on just tracking engagement numbers and retention. Engagement meaning how many people, like at what proportion of people who are coming and seeing the community are actually engaging with it. They're liking, commenting, creating a post, etc., spending time on the page. And secondly, retention. How many times are people coming back? Like if you open the community, you saw what's there to offer. Do we have the ability to get you to come back to see more? And what kind of content are they coming back for more? So today I'm driven completely by engagement numbers and trying to improve engagement. And that's probably the only thing I focus on.
Got it. I think what you just described, Rohit, is something that in community building we call, true believer, where you're thinking a lot more about some of these engagement and retention metrics, but not like a short-term business metric, because you have that belief that community is necessary and it is something that you'll have to build. And the top management in these cases is a true believer sorts. From what Arun suggested, I think almost all organizations today have to be true believer if they want to invest in community. But I think MoEngage has become a little bit more mature community, and this is now which a lot of people call ROI advocates. So am I right in saying that you guys are more true believer and Arun, you guys are more ROI advocates?
I think we are both, to be honest. We definitely are very ROI conscious. There are certain programs that we're running which will pay for themselves and maybe even be profitable. We have a cohort-based program. We're charging for it. We actually we get the sponsors for most of our events and so on. I've been an entrepreneur a couple of times, so there's nothing that I would like more than making this a P&L positive exercise.
Nice. That's phenomenal. If you can make your community P&L positive, that's phenomenal for me.
Yeah. But then again, as you rightly pointed out, right? You shouldn't do this with the short term in mind. So if I feel that charging for something is not the right thing to do, that's going to in some way dilute either the experience or prevent certain people who really need this learning from being able to join and make use of it, then we wouldn't do it. And it's not as simple as that. I think there'll be various factors in consideration, but in many ways, I think you have to start off with being a true believer and really solve for the problem and really believe in what you're bringing to the table and you really believe in what the community stands for. And you must really want this community to exist and transform lives and add value to people's lives. I think that's always going to be goal number one. But yeah, I mean, if it's under the wings of a larger business, then this has to make sense for that business. So ROI is something that we do track, and which is as I mentioned very early on, right? I think ROI is actually fairly easy to derive from community. I don't think it's all that difficult. You do these events, like I said, if people find value in it from these interactions that you're setting up, all this peer learning that's happening, A lot of these people would then turn to your brand, when they're in that purchase cycle. And you can't force the pace in B2B, right? They have to be actually in that purchase cycle.
Yeah.
But then they already have your top of mind. They have a sense of loyalty to you. The good karma kicks in at that point of time. And there's just a very huge overlap between, people who are part of some of these forums that you set up, these community forums that you set up, could be an event or whatever, and people who then eventually made their way into our actual pipeline. It's just a huge overlap. So justifying ROI is actually not one of the biggest problems. And maybe I'm speaking from a B2B point of view.
Sure. Aditi, what's your take on, first, are you personally more of a true believer or more of an ROI advocate?
So like Arun said, I think I'm both, because it's difficult to be one, right? I mean, when you're like, I'll tell you when I would be 100% true believer. Say if I were running my own sports group or something, which I don't want to derive value out of. I love seeing people play sports, engage in sports. I'm a true believer, right? But when I'm building it for a business where there's money going in, there's 5 people in the team working day and night, I need to be able to justify, okay, that guys, all of you, that all that you're doing, we're actually getting something out of it, right? And sometimes these ROI comes from the initial targets that you set, right? So
Right.
I had a target of, I want to reach these many people, or I want to have these many people talk to us or engage with us. That target becomes, if met, that is your ROI, right? So I think in some ways, the pre of that community building is related to the post of a successful community building. So I'm a bit of both. More on like in the situations where I said like when I'm personally invested as such, where I'm like 100% true believer, then I don't care how many people are engaging, but all those who are engaging, let me keep making more and more value for them. And in terms of matrix, again, I think it was very important for us to track matrix because contrary to the models that a lot of startups follow, it was actually community was the bigger bracketed fanpage, which had marketing and growth into it, right? Growth comprised of brands and
let me take a step back, pause and call it out again. At fanpage, growth and marketing and some of the other functions were part of community instead of vice versa, which is common today. Go on, Aditi.
Yeah, because what we realized that as much as we wanted the growth team to understand, so community, basically our idea was like all our users, at least our grow, and we had these names, right? Grow users, pro users and all of that. So all of the users who now started using us and are coming back, like to transacted fanpage, they were our grow users. So if these people and growth team, which is working on brands and partnerships and particular initiatives, they need to know what these users are about, what their needs are. But also the social media team, right? Who are going to put out posts, like what do these people really relate with? What is something that they will share with their friends that they will save? Also, particularly influencer marketing team, right? Who are the kind of influencers that these people want to listen to? So we realized that all of these teams, to a great extent, needed to understand what our user was about and which was our community, right, from day one. So in terms of matrix, what we did was our matrix was sort of platform dependent because I still don't believe Twitter and Instagram are community platforms. They're audience platforms. You first build an audience, then that audience, like, your community becomes like a niche or funnel of that audience only. So there, the matrix were, okay, how many follows are we getting? Is the rate of unfollow increasing or decreasing, right? Are we able to get more and more comments? Are we able to get more relevant people, which like the TG, Gen Z, start talking about us and all of those things. On Discord, which by the way, I love that as a platform. There's a bias for it also because of the great insights that they give you, really. But there, because that was built particularly like formally to engage people, right? Get them to talk, get them to participate in events together. Their engagement was very, very crucial for us. So our North Star metric there was to see, okay, what all channels are people talking the most on? Who are the people who are talking the most on? Like what are topics are they talking the most about? Because that would give us a fundamental feedback also of where we're doing it right and where we're doing it wrong. But say if you talk about an event or like a particular community initiative, there the growth number, like the top funnel numbers were equally important for us, right? Like we did FanJam. So how many new people who were not on FanPay already came through FanJam? how many new people who were already not with FamPay came through brand ambassador program, right? How many people discovered us through this community initiative was very, very important. Second was, okay, how many people are continuing to do this, right? Because amongst different initiatives that we were doing, it's also important to see is, okay, which is giving us higher LTV user. LTV is lifetime value of a user. Like, for how long does that user keep giving you value? Value could be engagement, monetization, anything, referrals even. So then we realize, okay, community is giving the maximum value, right? A person who came through an ad and a person who came through a word of mouth, through a community initiative, the latter happened to stay longer with us and transact more with us. So then the top funnel growth of how people are discovering an acquisition as well as retention became important for us. But we were very clear to not have more than 3 North Star metrics. And these North Star metrics was something that every team tracked and kept an eye on. But the other, the funnel matrix and so, that was data research and the core fun community person, which was I back then. Jobs to look at, yeah.
And how big was the team at FamPay? Just the community team, or will I be wrong saying there was a single community team? It was essentially like different teams part of community. So
different teams part of community, but there were 4 core people who mainly were. So I was one of them. Then there were 3 other people. So our job was to be those links between, the growth team, the marketing team, and the community team. I was doing independent community initiatives, right? From starting the Discord server to leading team to answer program. But that doesn't mean that but it was expected of me, and I loved doing that, was that I will also participate in at least the brainstorming and jamming for social media team. I may not be the one writing content, but they need to know what are people talking about. Then I would also be part of the brainstorming and jamming for partnerships. So I think that structure where there was at least 1 or 2 people in the team who really understood the user and who were in touch with the user, right? Always through the groups, through the community. And then they became the channel to tell other teams that, okay, guys, this is where our TG stands right now. This is how they're evolving. This is what they're liking. So that helps,
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for coming. And if you have any questions, I'm also available on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to schedule a call and answer if there is some genuine need of knowing anything around community strategy. I love those conversations. Thank you so much, and look forward to having you in our next event. We do these weekly events. So do join our community called Community Hood if possible. You must be getting emails and different communications already, but if you have not attempted, do attempt it, and we would love to see you there. And we'll also drop a link to join right away for you guys.